Interspecies evolution.
Oh, no, now you're changing interspecies. You mean cats, coyotes and wolves are related? I've already accepted that.
And any kind of evolution, like literally evolution is a broad theory. The theory of evolution, yes.
The word is way too slippery. I believe dogs, wolves, and coyotes have a common ancestor. I do not believe dogs and bananas have a common ancestor.
But would you submit that they all share common DNA ancestor? I mean, if you compare a dog to a banana, they have a DNA match of some percentage.
Okay, let's assume that dogs and bananas match in their DNA. What would that prove?
That would prove that we have a lifestyle because what DNA does is it changes, it mutates, right? We know this. So when God created humans, right, he created us with DNA. What would be the purpose of creating a DNA-based life that has room for changing, for evolving, if evolution weren't true? Why would he even need to create DNA? If he's so perfect, why would he not just create some sort of life that didn't evolve? Like
or a better form of genetic material.
Yeah. Why would he? Yeah. Clearly, DNA is not superior. I mean, there's some mutations that don't help species. So he could have come up with some different idea. I mean, the fact that he came up with DNA proves, I mean, in my eyes, I think DNA proves evolution because DNA changes and enough changes added up, enough microevolution changes added up will eventually turn into macroevolution.
It's dimes equaling dollars after a while, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you believe these micro changes we see add up to macro changes, you have great faith, but that is not science. That is, nobody ever observes anything go outside of its kind.
Well, that's because it takes millions of years.
And the thing with the faith,
that's why it takes faith. It's not science.
Yeah, but I mean, everything takes faith. I mean, your argument takes probably more faith than mine.
Like it takes faith to know.
I'm not asking the taxpayers to pay for my faith to be taught. You guys are.
Well, but you kind of are, though. You never see the science people knocking on the doors of religion saying, preach about evolution. You never see that. But you see the religious people knocking on the doors of the science classroom saying, teach our stuff here.
Well, evolution is a religion, and it's already in the science class. Why
evolution is not a religion.
I actually...
You just told me it was.
How did I tell you it was a religion? I never said it was a religion.
You did too. You said these macro changes might, over millions of years, add up to big changes. Well, that's something you believe. That's your religion.
It's not what I believe. It's after seeing things. For example, in 1971, biologists moved 5 pairs of adult Italian wall lizards from their home into this other world, into this other island in the Mediterranean, and they changed the size of their head shape changed in just 36 years. Let me say, the size of their head changed. They just evolved valves in their stomachs, their jaws. They developed bigger jaws so they could eat a whole new type of food. And this happened in just 36 years. So what I'm saying is, if you see these massive changes in just 36 years, how is it far-fetched to say in millions of years you couldn't see even greater changes?
I think your definition of religion just requires belief, but everything requires belief. Like, I believe, I work at this company. That doesn't mean I'm like part of their religion. I looked up like traits of religion, and it really just doesn't match up with evolution. You have a belief in something sacred for a god or another supernatural being. You have ritual acts based on sacred objects, a moral code that belief holds a supernatural basis, promoting feelings triggered by sacred objects, prayers and other forms of communication with supernatural, promotion of organization as one life based off this worldview, and a social group bounded together by the above. So I don't really see it as being a religion or a faith. Everything takes faith. Like, everything takes some amount of religion. It's just a question of how big of a leap of faith are you taking. It doesn't take that big of a leap of faith to know, I work at this company, because I know that.
Let's take one bite at a time here. You said they took some wall lizards off and moved them into a new environment. And
in the Mediterranean, yes.
In 36 years, their heads got bigger and their jaws got bigger.
And they evolved valves for stomachs as well, because they started eating a whole new type of food. Like, their diet changed completely, and so they evolved these valves for stomachs. Their jaws increased in size. It's pretty amazing. There's a whole it's an amazing story if you haven't heard it.
It's an amazing story. Were they still lizards?
That's I like when you make that argument, because it's easy to come back to that and fall back on that. But they literally evolved valves in their stomach in 36 years. So what I'm saying is, why are you saying it's that much of a stretch? I mean, you believe that Eve was created from a bone. Why is it so far of a stretch to say that I believe that a new species can be created from an old species through evolution?
You can believe that if you want. That's the point. It's a belief. It's not
But
observable.
I've seen evolution. It was observable in 36 years.
It's still a lizard.
Yeah, at this point, because we can't watch it for millions of years.
That's
the
why.
thing
And
is,
if we can
those small
only believe
changes-
if we can only believe in things that we can watch, then you shouldn't believe in the Noah's Ark. You shouldn't believe in Adam and Eve because you didn't see it happen. So you can't make that argument. I'm looking at evidence based on changes that I have seen, significant changes in 36 years, that would amount to a new creation of a new species eventually, because that's how DNA works. It mutates, it changes.
And the definition of kind can be so like, what do you mean by the same kind of animal? Like,
Well, no, hold on. Let's go on. Let's finish one topic at a time.
Go ahead.
You said over 36 years there were radical changes that might add up and make a new species. That's why I said
They would add up.
Okay, it's still a lizard.
At that point, it's still a lizard. How do you explain hippos and wait, hold on, let me find it here. How do you explain hippos and whales having having multi-chambered stomachs when a hippo is a vegetarian and a whale is a meat eater? Vegetarians don't have multi-chambered stomachs, yet they both have these multi-chambered stomachs. And if you look at it, hippos are closely related to whales. That's their closest DNA match. So it seems that they both came from one specific branch of the tree of life. They both have multi-chambered stomachs. How do you explain that when usually vegetarians do not have multi-chambered stomachs?
Well,
There's no examples of it besides in the hippo.
well, then you're deficient in your biology. Whales, cows. Cows have a complex stomach. I guess you call it a multi-chamber stomach. They chew the cud. So do sheep and goats. A lot of animals have.
Yeah, but
this
cows do receive protein that's necessary for the multi-chambered stomach, whereas hippos don't.
So
Cow-
if the same designer designs a whale and a hippo, and you find a few similarities, that somehow in your mind proves common ancestor rather than common creator. I am baffled at how you could.
So
this
if
is
they-
no.
so does
I'm not saying I
Starfish
don't
have a
believe in
different
common
creator?
creator. Again, I believe in God. I just
Does a
believe that
starfish
he
have a-
used evolution as a tool, kind of like how he gives humanity free will. What's to say that he didn't give evolution free will? What's to say he didn't say, here are the environments, let's let these things evolve? Are you saying that's out of God's power? Because if it's out of God's power, then
Does a starfish have a different creator then, since it's so vastly different?
General Motors builds cars that have both a heater and an air conditioner in them.
Mhm.
Because they might go to hot climate, they might go to cold climate. That's called planning ahead. You don't
But
know.
trucks don't reproduce, and they don't live. They're not.
and they don't have DNA.
Yeah, it's not real. And you can go back and see a lot about the truck
If the
objectively.
designer gave the creatures a DNA code that is capable of producing a wide variety, that's proof he's thinking ahead. We have now dogs